But football without fans is not. You play a football match without fans, you've got nothing. It can be the greatest game in the world. If there are no people there to watch, it becomes nothing.
And to Johnston. Johnston. And a goal by Johnston. Larson. Oh, he's in. Henrik Larsson! That is sensational! Nakamura, he has done it! Isn't that just typical?
The game is over. The Rebels have won.
A star is born at Celtic!
Champions. That's who we are.
What's happening, boys? What's happening? Tuesday TikTok time. We'll get Dazza, we'll get James and Paddy will be joining us soon. Dazza, I've not seen you in ages, and I know that you were at the game at the weekend. How did you enjoy yourself?
It was good. It was good. I think I've taken away to a few away games, but I think that was our first proper one. Now, which you can remember and appreciate. I think the rest was a wee bit too young, but it was good. It was good to get down there, and it was good to up before 4-0 up in half an hour. So it was a really good. It's a good day out.
27 minutes and we're 4-0 up, and we were hoping that we would kind of press on, give the fans a lot of entertainment. It wasn't to be, but I guess, it's one of the horrible pitches where we rested some players because of the fear of injury, but we came away with no casualties at all, and an entertaining game nonetheless. James, me and you did the post-match review about that one. I guess it's been dissected enough, but overall, another win, no injuries, as we said. You can't complain, can you, mate?
That's it. As I say, just ticking them off now. So there's 7 points until it's official, but really it's only 6. So, we're getting there.
Any idea how long we're waiting until we? Is the top 6 teams, is that still to be decided? Or I would imagine that there's probably some teams still battling out for it.
I think you could just throw a sheet off. But I think Hearts are actually. I think all the places that we obviously the tap to, I think they're all still up for grabs, because I think Hearts are only like 3 or 4 points off actually finishing in the bottom 6.
Hearts are on 45, St Mirren 44, Hibs 43, and then 7, Livingston 42, Motherwell 36. So I reckon anybody from Motherwell to Hearts is could finish either end of that split.
It would be great if Kilmarnock get relegated, just so that we don't have to play in their pitch anymore. I wonder who's in with a shout at getting promotion. Do you know, for the championship? Any idea?
I think Dundee's go to a canter. Queen's Park were wanting it, and then they've kind of fell away, and Dundee's kind of took her.
Looking at it now, it's a point between Dundee and Queen's Park.
I thought it was Milner.
Aye. Fair dues. Right, guys. Anyway, by the way, sorry, Dazza.
I was just a bit like the English Premiership now, you know what I mean? It was the runaway leaders now look like they're not going to be the champions.
Bottle merchants, man. I never fancied Arsenal for it. I always said City.
They were, I don't know if you could say they were overachieving, but if you compare what they've got to Man City, Man City they've got 2 squads, whereas if you take out a couple of players for Arsenal, then they're going to suffer. We'd be disappointed. I wanted Arsenal to win the league, but City, they're just a machine. By the way, to the viewers, thanks very much for tuning in. Get your comments coming in. Paddy will be with us soon. I guess one of the first topics that we wanted to open up with this evening was Player of the Year nominations. It's coming to that time now. You've got your Player of the Season, you've got your Young Player of the Season. I guess people have already spoken about it at the start of the season. A lot of people were saying that Greg Taylor was fantastic. And maybe since January, Aaron Moy, he came into the fold and he proved a lot of his doubters wrong. James, not looking at you. But over the course of the season, I would be surprised if anybody voted Greg Taylor or voted Aaron Moy. Me personally, I think it's between Rio Hatate and Kyogo. But how can you take anything away from Callum McGregor and Cameron Carter-Vickers? People who are so consistent. Young Player of the Year, I'd have to think about that because I've just brought it up there. But Daza, James, who's the names at the top of your head for Player of the Year?
I think it will be between the three, won't it? Kyogo, Hatate and Carter-Vickers. I think that's who it will be between. I think Kyogo will get it just because of the amount of goals, and I don't think he's really been injured for any kind of prolonged period this year, whereas Hatate's obviously out the new, and Carter-Vickers, the defenders never really seem to get the rub with these things, so I'll go with Kyogo, but it genuinely could be 6 or 7.
I'm going to play devil's advocate on that one, and if I'm being really honest with myself, I'm going to say Kyogo. But what I will say is, because obviously for the discussion point, I'll play the devil's advocate. I'm going to say Hatate, and here is why. Hatate, Kyogo sort of didn't come onto the boil until after the World Cup. Do you know what I mean? It was a very slow start to the point where there were people absolutely moaning about Kyogo playing and wanting Big Giamakis in, whereas Hatate has been an absolute phenomenal player all year. I think Kyogo's going to get it because of the amount of goals he scored since the end of the World Cup, and how he's just like absolutely. He's a 9, 7, 8, 9 out of 10 every single game now. And plus the semi-final, the two Celtic Park against them. So Kyogo, I think, will win it, but Hatate has got, for me, a stronger case.
We're all agreed then it'll be a Japanese player nonetheless, aye?
Aye.
I think Kyogo, that's a good point that you make, because at the start of the season, Kyogo he wasn't getting praised, probably because the Champions League performances put a lot of doubt in some people, myself included, how he's recovered and how he's acquitted himself in the Glasgow derbies. It's been phenomenal. I hate using that word phenomenal, a bit of a cliche, but he scored 5 goals against them this season in his last 3 games. In terms of the league, that's him get 23 goals, so he's 4 ahead of Van Veen of Motherwell. By the way, that's actually quite good for a Motherwell striker to get 19. I think the last time that a Motherwell striker got it was Michael Higdon back in the day. But Kyogo, 23 goals, 2 assists, and he's played 30 games. And apparently, this is according to the BBC website, he's got a shot accuracy of 58% and a goal conversion of 36%. Definitely a top player. I would say that, I don't know if anybody would disagree with me, I would say that Hatate overall is the most talented player. If you were to get your predators from so-called bigger clubs, I would say that Hatate would be the guy who'd be getting scouted the most. Maybe that's because of his age as well. Kyogo's almost approaching 29, I think, maybe 30. Hatate's still at a great age. He's still very, very young in terms of his development as a footballer.
Aye, I mean, but he's only been a professional for 3 years because of the time that he had to do, was it conscript or whatever it was he had to do in Japan first.
I think that was just university. It was
right. So the time he had to do his university and he's only been a professional for 3 years, and he's been phenomenal for us. It's actually like, I think Celtic now. And we've not had this for years and years. In fact, we've probably not had it in my lifetime. I think Celtic now is, if a player gets injured, whether it be Callum McGregor, Carter-Vickers, Kyogo, you're not really that bothered because you get somebody that's going to step in just as capable, and certainly to fill up the numbers. But it's when Hatate get injured, I'm like, that could be a sore one. Do you know what I mean? So, he's phenomenal.
I was actually talking about that in work today. Obviously, no come on to talk about Abada, but we were talking about Abada leaving, and as much as he's a good player and all that, you don't really get attached to these players. I think if as good a team as we've got now, I think I would only really be properly devastated if maybe like Kyogo, Jota, obviously Callum McGregor, if they left. But everybody else, as much as we like them and they're cracking players, you don't feel as attached to them. It's similar with Juranovic and Giacomakis as well, because you know there is going to be somebody coming in basically as soon as they root the door, there's somebody there ready to go again.
I seen Juranovic. I was after I watched the Celtic Rangers game, the Union Berlin Dortmund game. I'm sure was on. I'm sure, and I seen him taking a throw, and I had an actual him moment. Do you know what I mean? And so Alistair Johnston's come in and has made me know. Not I mean, I've not missed him, so I was like, there's JJ there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
I think Ange is also kind of prepared us to not get attached to these players, because he spoke about this kind of transfer policy of being agile and aggressive, and you'd imagine that's kind of what we're aware that if a bid comes in, we might let a player go, but we're going to replace him with somebody of similar quality, if not better, such as what we've seen with the right back. We also Juranovic leaving and Alistair Johnston coming in. Who would you guys go for Young Player of the Year? Now, Abada last season, he was, I think he got it, correct me if I'm wrong, but he was like the main candidate, I think. But this season, I'm trying to think as I'm talking right now, Young Player of the season for Celtic.
What's the cut-off for that, 23?
Probably, let's call it 23.
Abada still for me. Up until his injury now, I think he'd played in every single game. I think it was only him and Matt O'Reilly that had done that. Played in every single game up until his injury just a couple of games ago. So he's come on, and he's come on, and every time he's come on, he's added to the team. Apart from, I think there was only one game I was left underwhelmed to him, but other than that, he's come on and he's dangerous. No, he does something. He's something different in attack, and if he goes, then good luck to him, as you said. But I wouldn't like to see him go to now. I'd like to keep a hold on for a couple of years.
Is there anything else you would mention for that?
Well, that's the thing. Like, I'll be saying about that because he's the only candidate. So
I'll get to Ben Summers. He was fucking brilliant when he came on for that 3 minutes.
I don't think there's any other candidate.
Nah.
Do you know he played? He played Tommy Burns in a documentary, a docudrama. And the last Tommy Burns one, I think it was on the BBC. It was that Ben Summers that played the young Tommy Burns in it.
Oh, was it?
Really? Yeah.
I got it.
How long ago was that? Any idea?
I don't think it was that long ago. I think it was about maybe 5 years ago.
Was that when he went through that spell of doing like football stuff every weekend? Was it a Lisbon Lions one as well?
I think so. I know
it.
It just had him it was on about like growing up in the Carlton, and then it was a wee guy with a Celtic strip on. It was Ben Summers. So.
For the comments here, so let's see, Frank Brennan. Yes, indeed, Kyogo is the best since the King of Kings, and yet there was all the demented cretins who were screaming and shouting for the here today, gone tomorrow, Giakoumakis to replace him so many times. No pulling any punches with that comment, mate. And from Forever and Ever Celtic, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Kyogo, Taylor and Hatate. You could make a case for all of them, in my opinion. Whoever's Player of the Year, they will have earned it. Well, it's good to have more than one candidate, more than two, even four candidates. It's good because it shows the strength of the team and players who we've not even mentioned Jota. Dazza, do you think Jota merits a mention in this?
No. No. And I'm the most positive person about everything. Jota is phenomenal. Jota has been phenomenal, but I don't think Jota's been. Jota is. I don't want to say inconsistent because he's been there every. Not I mean he's been brilliant, but when you're measuring against the rest and the contribution the all aforementioned have made, I think Jota is just below the line. Before he can get that, I don't think he's been Jota's best, although he's still been phenomenal. I wish somebody else answered that question before me.
We've been reminded Matt O'Reilly is only 22. Matt O'Reilly, the only Celtic player to play in every game, 22 years old, Young Player of the Year, easy. I totally forgot about him, but I would definitely put him above Abada. You remember that spell when Callum McGregor was out and O'Reilly was playing in that kind of deep lying playmaker role? I thought he acquitted himself very well. I know that he's been off the boil a bit, but in the past 2 games he's been back in. He had a good game, obviously, at the weekend, scored 2 goals. Daza, I can see you're disagreeing with me, though. Would you take Abada over O'Reilly as a young player?
Aye, I would. But Matt O'Reilly, the last few games, has been back to the Matt O'Reilly that it's good to see. And the Matt O'Reilly that we knew that he could be. And I'm sure he's been off the boil for the last wee while. And I think he had some personal issues. I don't know what they were. I don't care what they were. They're nothing to do with me. But I'm sure I read somebody had some personal issues. It's all been cleared up now, and now he's starting to play football again and starting to be the Matt O'Reilly that we know that he can be. But I think he was too much of a grey man for the probably the February, January, December when it really matters. So I love the guy again, an excellent player, and I hope he's still here next year, and I hope he kicks on and keeps building on where he's gone. But for me, he's just not quite made it as a contender.
Harsh but fair, James.
I don't know. See, initially when you say that, I would have agreed, but the more I think about it, it will be between the two, purely because I think it is really the only two. After that, you're probably looking at like Rocco Vata and stuff like that, and they will just be there just to make up the numbers, really. But I think, would I be right in saying that Matt O'Reilly still get the most assists, so they definitely did up until fairly recently anyway, so I 100% agree. I think he has been very, very underwhelming when you compare him to last season, but I don't know, I think you could state the same case for Abada as well, certainly in recent times anyway. I don't know, I think I actually would plump for O'Reilly the more I think about it. And again, as I say, I don't think he's had a fantastic season. I think it's more just, obviously, thinking about that age group, realistically, it will be between the two.
Talking about numbers, Matt O'Reilly, 11 assists and 3 goals. He's played 32 games. But the next in line is Jota. Jota's got 10 assists with 11 goals. And it's crazy that Jota's not in the conversation just as a general player of the year.
Could we present a case for Jota for young player of the year? How old is the boy?
I just googled it. I think he was 24 or 25.
So he's just out the cut.
I could be totally wrong. I just assumed it was 23, unless it could be 24 or 25. I have no idea, to be honest.
I think young player of the year should be 21 and under.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Just a player that's come in and doesn't look at a place. But whatever the rules are, I don't know.
And we've got here one for Mark Porciani. I hope I pronounced that name right. Joint players of the year is Jota and Cameron Carter-Vickers. Discussion over. They're that good. Interesting point of view. Right, okay. Well, we'll find out. Speaking of Abada, I think our right wing is a bit of a conundrum right now. If you were to compare it to the left wing, it's both the preferred position of Jota and Maida on the left, of course. However, on the right, we've seen the career of James Forrest fizzling out. We're seeing it this season. If there was no doubts last season, it's definitely fizzling out this season. It's been a while since he last played for Celtic. You've got Abada, who he's not a regular. And Daz, I know that you were kind of singing his praises, but my thoughts on Abada whenever he starts, before the game kicks off, I'm saying to myself, I bet you he's one of the first players to get hooked in the game. I think it's just a lot of times sometimes he just struggles to make an impact. I think he is inconsistent. And you can say that's because of his age. You can say that because of his position, because wingers are very prone to giving the ball away. They're the creators, the people who are the driving force to make something happen. So it can be a number of factors. But in terms of right wing, I don't think we've got, unless you're playing Abada and Jota, Maida and Jota on the wings. But my point is they're both kind of left-sided players. I think we need to strengthen if Abada does leave at the end of the season. There's been rumours we heard today Ajax have been linked with him. Whether you believe that or not, I know that Sky Sports have attached their name to those reports. You would think that they'd be very gun-shy about buying from Scotland after Calvin Bassey, which is very entertaining. James, what's your thoughts on Abada leaving, about the news we had today, and about an overall replacement maybe for next season?
See, to be honest with you, even if Abada was to stay, I'd still like to see us go out and sign a right winger. I think more as time's going on, I'm starting to see Haksabanovic more as a kind of attacking midfielder and behind the striker. And then after that, as you say, really the only kind of out and out right winger would be James Forrest, really. So regardless if he stays or goes, I'd like to see somebody else coming in. I think he will go, to be honest. I don't know why. I just kind of feel as if it's been on the cards for a few weeks now. And obviously, if Ajax are scouting you, then one of the kind of clubs in it, the Ajax and Benfica, if they're coming in for you, you must have something going for you. In terms of a figure, I've seen people saying kind of 20 plus and all that. I don't think we would get that, if I'm being honest. I think we'd be more looking in the 10 to 15 region, maybe stick a wee sell on. But if we get 15 for him, then I think we could replace him with somebody better for probably 5 million, so a third of the outlay, which wouldn't really be bad business.
I think 15 is very optimistic, mate. The guy just, when he's fit, most of the time he doesn't play for us. He's not a starter for Celtic. I think you'd have to be a muppet to buy Abada for 15 million. No offence, mate. But again, we've made some great business selling players. Certainly not the last two departures with Juranovic and Giacomakis, but I'm not even too sure about Ajax being serious to buy this player. Ajax are no mugs when it comes to recruitment, albeit if we take Bassey out of the picture. I don't know. I don't know about Abada. He's such a... There's just a question mark over the guy. I don't know what his future holds. One podcast I was talking about how he might mature as a player, and because his pace is brilliant, he goes in, but maybe there's a glass ceiling for him, and it's not far away from where he's operating at right now. Dazza, you probably think I'm being harsh though.
The games that spring in my mind is the 4-0 game at the start of the season against the Rangers. Then, but even closer, the St Mirren game when he came on as a sub. And I thought when he came on, it was absolutely phenomenal. And that St Mirren game, we were 1-0 down at half time and we were struggling. Abada came on and, in my opinion, changed the game in our favour. And then we won 5-1. So for me, he's a great impact player. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying earlier on when he starts. You're like, so maybe he's a better coming on as an impact player, and then pretty much what Haksabanovic has been doing, coming on as impact. And I wouldn't like to see him go. I think he's getting the offer, and I think the boy's going to be a right good talent. No, especially when he matures.
See, just with what you're saying there, Gav, about you, like, kind of maybe don't rate him as highly as others. Can I ask, see what sticks in your mind? Is it the Champions League? Because he kind of made a less shat the bed in the Champions League?
No. But there's that. But I think there's been a lot of just regular domestic games, no even against the Rotten Mob, just against like whoever, Motherwell or blah, blah, blah. Where Abada, I know they got that hat-trick against Dundee United in the 9-0 game, but I think there's been a lot of just bog standard games where Abada has struggled. That's my abiding memory. He looks like he doesn't have the great instincts of a winger, where you can. I don't know. I just think that he's got a bit of a mental block sometimes when he plays football, and he doesn't know what to do with it.
I like him. I definitely think he would get better. I'm the same as Daz. I'd like to see him stay for maybe another year or two, and then I think we'd probably double our money on what our valuation would be the new. think he would keep improving. But if we get 10, 15 for him now, then I think that's great business.
What did we get him for?
How much or where?
No, how much?
I think it was about 3 million. I think
3 or so.
So if you get 15 for him, then you're laughing, aren't you? It fits the player trade mode that we're being good at doing. I think the only player we've ever took that's never got us any great yield was Edward, and that's only because we paid 9 million for him.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if you look at everybody else, Dembele, we've done pretty well, Kieran Tierney. Right.
Paddy, how the hell are you?
Not bad. How the hell are you? What's happened? What have I missed?
Well, we're talking about Player of the Year nominations, that and Young Player of the Year.
Right.
I think the general consensus is either Kyogo or Hatate, but you've got strong contenders even outside that: Cameron Carter-Vickers, Jota, Cal McGregor, even Greg Taylor.
Yeah, well, we were talking about Greg Taylor at the start of the season. Then he had the injury, and he's no went out of the limelight or anything like. He's just kind of quietly went about his business, so he's not really shined, if you know what I mean. I think if you're looking at the course of the full season, then it's going to be Kyogo for the best player. Even though I would probably put Hatate into the category of young player, and I know he's a wee bit older, but he's still quite a young player in terms of maturity. Like, he's only been playing for a couple of years, so.
That's bending the rules, definitely there.
Fuck it, Aaron Moy for Young Player of the Year, why not?
Maybe
By the
Jota.
What were you talking about Abada?
We're talking about Abada, who's one of the nominations for Young Player of the Year, up alongside O'Reilly. And then we were just talking about the rumours with Ajax being in for him. I think I can't see it happening personally. I'm a bit of a pessimist when it comes to Abada, whereas James and Daza are a wee bit more optimistic about his future and how he can develop as a player.
Don't like him.
What, me or Daza?
No, I say that's harsh. I'm jesting, of course. I think he's a good player. I think he's got qualities, but for me, if you're getting anything over 10 million, I would sell him, right? And the reason I say that is because, number one, I'm not sold on him totally. I don't think he's refined his position yet. I don't think his brain knows what to do with the ball when he uses his brain. Like, he's fucking heaving his feet on in tandem. I think he does things instinctively that work, that kind of ghosting in behind the central areas where he's been very, very important. When you look at him as a winger, I don't like him. That's when I don't like him, when he's playing solely as a winger. I don't think he's effective. I don't think he's totally confident there. But the reason why I say sell him, right, I would also sell Matt O'Reilly, right? If we go really, I know, but I see Dazzler making faces, right? Just hear me out, mate. Hear me out, right? If you get a good offer, 10 to 15 million for either or, 15 million each, I would sell the two of them. And the reason why is because we've not seen any returns yet on Ange signings, right? Now, if the board are wanting to continue to back Ange season after season, which we're hoping he's going to be here for, you need to think it the way that they would think it, right? And they're going to want to see a return on investments. Yes, of course, you'll see it with the squad investments. If you put in, you'll get the Champions League money. But part of me thinks that they'll also want to see return on investments in players that come in. So if Ange can't prove, I agree with that. If Ange can't, well, I say Ange, right? Ange is at the forefront here. If Ange can't prove that one of the players that he brings in is of any monetary value to the club in terms of resale value, then his income in terms of transfer purse, I would think, would go down in estimation. Because if he's bringing players in, even though they're doing well for the squad, they're doing well for the club, they're winning trophies, winning leagues, getting us into Champions League, I still think that the board, which, to be fair, they've put the outlay out for the players, so I think they're going to want to see some Wonga coming back in. I don't see anybody coming in for the likes of Turnbull and that, so you would think that it's like it's a wee bit like, what do you call him, Bassey? I think somebody mentioned that earlier on. He was a freak in terms of they absolutely bumped Ajax, right? Ajax have had the biggest brain fart out. But you look at guys like Ayer, Edward, Forster, Wanyama, all the guys that have been down to England for 10 million plus, and they've went and been good, they've been successful, and that then puts Celtic into a negotiating bracket of, listen, you're buying guys after us, they're successful, we'll continue to up the price, and that's what's happened. We went for the 10 million glass ceiling being broken after Aidan McGeady. I think it was, who was it? Who was the first one to go to Southampton?
Wanyama?
Oh, was it Van Dijk?
Van
Van
Dijk.
Dijk. No, Van Dijk was the first player to sell for over 10 million. And then it's gradually getting more. And then we're seeing like Kieran Tierney at 22, 23 million, obviously, all the add-ons. So we need to keep looking at that. And the board will want to see that. The board are putting out money to Ange. The board have gave Ange money to go and spend, to go and build his squad, to go and win leagues, do this, da. They'll then want to see something coming back in. That's my thoughts anyway. So,
but do you not think they would have already had that role with Juranovic and Giakoumakis when you consider the amount of time they were here and what we bought them for and what we sold them for? I know it maybe wasn't as much as what we were expecting, but I mean, there's still no bad business for that period of time. See, to be fair, I don't even disagree with you really, because but I don't even really think it's like, I want to say it's complicated as that because I sound fucking cheeky, but I just think it's like, if we get an offer, I just think it'll be the way it's always been. If we get an offer coming in for somebody of that value, then I don't know if I've just got my tinfoil hat on. If we get an offer in for a certain value for a certain player, I don't think it would matter if it was Kyogo or if it was fucking David Turnbull. They'd boot the door regardless.
There's Alex with the comment at the bottom. It's not a business, it's a football club since 1888. Think about it. Well, I think you'll find it actually is a business, mate, unfortunately. It's money. It's mostly always would like to see the kind of romantic side about it. You know, it's for the fans, it's this and that. It is a business as well as being a football club, but they work in tandem. You need to use business to bring success to the football club. It takes business to bring in players. It takes business to sell players. It takes business to put players in the team, manage on the dugout, whatever it might be. Business to run stadiums, this and that. So we need money in. Unfortunately, but we've not got the sheikhs fucking delivering bags of fucking gold and silver donkeys or whatever it is. Aye, and we're not getting the money off of Sky, as Alan would say there quite rightly. Like £2 million for winning the league. So we need to pull in money for anywhere that we can. Not that we're desperate for it, but we need to continue to see income of a decent scale.
Or we could release like a fifth strip in one season. Would you think about that?
By the way, did you see I don't know if you mentioned it, but did you see the reported new strip?
Is it green with like black hoops?
It's like a green. Is it?
Aye, it is. It's like kind of, I don't know, it's like scratched up through the green. I actually don't mind it, but it'll be some going to beat this year's anyway.
What one? That thing you've got?
No, the black away one for this season.
Oh,
that's why the best for years.
I thought you were talking about that other fucking silver.
One of the best since 1992.
Aye, 1982, that was beautiful, that one with the pinstripes. Aye, Paddy, I would actually take away the black hoops. I think it looks quite crude with the black hoops. I would just take that away and keep the green design. I think that looks a bit more nicer.
Just like Paddy's top, and that top is just short. I've long thought, now my opinion means nothing, but I've long thought Celtic should play in the hoops home and away. So every away cap should be hooped as well. But I know the purist will be absolutely against it.
What about if you are a purist, going back whenever we played in stripes? Green and white stripes?
Ooh. Meow. Throw that one back.
Way back in the day, the first, that was one of the first strips, wasn't it? Oh.
Is that back when men used to don caps and actually sweep their own chimneys? Back when there was Back when men were when, and there was no they and them.
Are you talking about Sam Smith again, mate?
I think I'll just sit out that any conversation on that one.
Speaking of back in the day, last weekend the Willie Maley statue was unveiled in Newry, where he was born. 43 years as Celtic's first ever manager. He won 19 league titles and I think about 40, including 40 trophies in total. It was long awaited. I think there was a petition, Paddy, whenever we had Tommy Sheridan on, he was talking about it. He was one of the people who was present at the weekend. But he was there. You had some former Celtic players as well who went there. Thousands attended, and there was speeches. There was Irish flute bands as well. A great celebration of a man who was our first ever manager. The tenure that he had, spanning 40 odd years, you don't get that anymore. Can you imagine the stress that you would have that nowadays, like for 40 years in the Goldfish Bowl in Glasgow? But perhaps the most pivotal figure in Celtic's history, Paddy.
Willie Maley was his name, and he brought some great names to the game. That's all I have to say.
I think somebody else said that to me, Paddy.
What?
I think that's been said before.
Has it? When? You never said that when you did you? That just looked like a big fucking copier.
No, because it's a song.
Right.
Well, Willie Maley is, isn't he? He is now, obviously, brother Wilfred starting it up. Willie Maley, the first manager. And then his successor, Jimmy McGrory. So they've stood the test of time with the club. They're still legends today. So an absolute.
Sorry, mate, I'm talking over you. Pardon me.
There you go.
Right, who would you say though? Like, I see if you were to make, like, draw up a list of like the top five figures in Celtic's history. Now, like, you would say Brother Wilfred, like in no particular order, okay, but you'd go for Brother Wilfred. You would have to go for Willie Maley. Now you've got Jock Stein in there as well. That's Jock Stein, obviously a former player as well. Now, although you want to say like Jinky, and people might even say Henry Larsson or maybe Billy McNeil, but one person who would, he's always been controversial in Celtic's history, but
Fergus McCann.
Without Fergus McCann, then where would we be?
Without Fergus McCann, we're all kidding on ourselves that we still support the same team that won the European Cup in 1967 and we're going for 53 titles. That's without Fergus McCann. Thankfully, he came in and we don't have to lie about that and kid ourselves on.
Do you know what? Do you know? I kind of feel sorry for guys. Like, as much as it's great and it's good and it's the proper thing to do, and it's like, you know, you talk about guys like Brother Walfred and Fergus McCann. They two guys are kind of at the forefront of their generation, right? For what they did for Celtic, but there was other guys involved as highly as them at the time. So you maybe talk about like Brother Walfred, you've got guys like John Glass and that, and then you come to Fergus McCann, and there was the people involved in the consortium behind that, and then it was all the fan-driven stuff as well. Do you know what I mean? Celts for Change, all that. So I know you kind of need to put somebody in a pedestal, but like there's other people involved in their success, if you want to call it that. I think it's quite a shame that they kind of guys don't get so much of a big. Who's that? As big I mentioned, you know what I mean? Aye, the bunny, I suppose.
You know who doesn't get spoken enough about? Sean Fallon, the Iron Man, former player, captain, and he was the number 2 to Jock Stein for so long. A fantastic man, you know, and he probably doesn't get spoken of enough. But, you know, like he would definitely not be in the top 5, but there's just so many characters in Celtic's rich history, as you say, Paddy. But But if you were to make a top 5, you're going to offend a lot of people because there's,
of course,
you know.
Do you know, I think that's a good shout for Alan there, though. But me personally, I'd rename the Green Brigade section the McCann stand and rename the rest of the stadium the McCanny stand.
I thought that was a joke about the disabled section there or something. I thought that's where that was going there. I was like,
what I was going to say, genuinely, like you're saying, top 5. See if you could build one statue outside Parkhead. So you've got Brother Wilfred, Billy McNeil, and Jimmy Johnson there. The new you could build one statue and only one. Who would you be building?
On top of?
Aye, no including the ones that's there.
Willie Mealy is... Yeah.
Fergus McCann should certainly have a plaque. Now he should be immortalised somewhere within the stadium, whether it be the North Stand getting called the Fergus McCann stand, because after all, he did come in and say, I'm going to come in here, I'm going to build you a stadium, I'm going to do a share, I'm going to put my money up, I'm going to walk away with more money, but I'm going to leave you in a better place, and he did do that.
And see, for that reason, that's why I've always said that we shouldn't make any stands called the Fergus McCann stand, because he didn't want any adulation or anything like that. And obviously, like, back in the time, I was a bit younger, I was maybe listening to other people run about, and there was a controversy, whatnot. But the guy said it himself, mate. He says, I'm just here. I'm here to serve the club. I'm here to turn it round, here to do this, and I'm here to take my money and run away happy and leave East here. So that's adulation enough for him, I think. I don't think he's one of these guys that, as much as he's like a wee bonnet dude and all that and heavy shit, you know what I mean?
I think when his mortal coil expires, something will happen more permanent for him. A memorial type thing.
I think the best statue I can think of would be Jackie McNamara punching, who was it?
Mark Hateley.
Mark Hateley, right.
It's a good debate, mate. It's definitely a good debate. We should definitely rename one of the stands as well, and obviously talking about Bertie Auld. A lot of people say name the tunnel after him, and then name Lennoxtown after Tommy Burns. So these opportunities to kind of honour these legends, but you know, hopefully the board get their finger out and do that, because I think the fans would love it. Guys, another wee interesting debate that I wanted to throw at you was Postecoglou right now, with the way things are going. There's predictable comparisons to the invincible age of Brendan Rodgers. First off, Dazza, who would win in a game between Brendan Rodgers' 11 against Angie's 11?
Angie's.
James?
Angie's.
Score draw. Angie's 78 to Angela.
Patrick?
Big Ange, no question. And Ange would kick fuck out of Brendan on the touchline.
I think, and the only player that was Craig Gordon that was in goals. It was Neil Lennon who had Fraser Forster. So no, Angie's team won away. I was thinking the only player I would have is Fraser Forster, and for Joe Hart, and that's not a slight on Joe Hart. That's just that Fraser Forster was a better keeper for us. Joe Hart's been brilliant, but Fraser Forster's been better.
Would you take? Sorry, mate. When you go.
No, you go. No, because.
No, I was just going to say the two straight away off the top of my head would be: would you go Lustig or Alistair Johnson, or would you go Ayer or Starfelt?
Well, let's start. Let's find out who would make a combined 11 then. So, right. In goal, are you saying Craig Gordon over Joe Hart?
No, I'm saying Joe Hart. I thought in my mind it was Fraser Forster in goals for some reason. But then when I thought about it, so no, Joe Hart over Craig Gordon.
Would you guys agree with that? Joe Hart over Craig Gordon?
No.
I would go early days Craig Gordon. I'd go Craig Gordon.
We can only base them on the team, the ones that played for us.
The Invincible year. don't know. I'd probably still go.
Otherwise,
Gordon,
otherwise, if you're saying that, then you could have Joe Hart when he played for Man City. Do you know what I mean?
No, but I mean his early days at Celtic, like when we first signed him at Celtic.
Craig Gordon was phenomenal. He's got a lot of haters, and I don't understand why. He was absolutely phenomenal for us. I just like Joe Hart better. He's maybe a leader. He's more charismatic. He's got a lot less howlers in him than Craig Gordon.
He's head and shoulders above the rest.
Oh, Paddy, man.
I think Dazza, it's your turn to make a dad joke next.
It's easy for you to say.
Who do you think was better with the ball at his feet?
There he is, all the way for the Shetlands, the Craig Gordon fan club president, McGinty.
Right, ball at his feet. Who's better out of the two keepers? That's a big part of our style of play.
Joe Hart.
Aye, I'd give to Hart, I know.
Right, okay.
And the dog's saying Gordon.
Right, who are we going for then? What's the general consensus?
Doug was going for Barkas, Paddy.
It was actually going for Rob Douglas.
Fucking sorry, aye, right, fair dues. I was late to the party there.
By the way, what you call a guy with big feet?
What?
Big Shoey. Would you call a guy with big feet and no dog? Big Shoey Douglas.
Remember, this used to be a serious podcast.
I know.
Never.
Let's get some parliamentary decorum in this podcast. Right, who is the... By the way, see that phrase, parliamentary decorum? Chris Eubank used that against Nigel Benn whenever they were arguing. It was... The guy had some weird patter, but it was top patter as well. Anyway, Craig Gordon or Joe Hart, what is the general consensus? Who are we going for?
Joe Hart.
Joe Hart.
I'm
James.
sticking with Craig Gordon.
So, you're going for a hung parliament?
No, well, Gav, what are you going for?
How do you know what size his Bobby is?
For the donkey bus, I'd say Craig Gordon had better footwork than Big Fraser. Size 18, no use for slinky footwork, in my opinion. Right, I need to choose one. If I go with Gordon, then it's going to be a tie. If I go with Hart, then we go with Hart. I'm going to go with Hart just to kind of move on. Sorry, James.
Yeah, we could have played two goalies, but that's fine.
Right, interesting one. Lustig or Alistair Johnson?
Johnson. Lustig's the most overrated fucking player.
I'm going to go for because of the longevity and obviously Lustig. Lustig was phenomenal for me. The goals against the Huns, the Polish. I know it's not a bit of play, but the Polish man's heart. He's an absolute Celtic legend. And he'll be always welcome back. So I'm going to say Lustig. But having said that, Alistair Johnson's on a trajectory that could overtake him.
Based on their time at Celtic, it's Lustig and it's not even close, and Paddy needs to go to fucking confession, man.
That's what I'm saying. He's on a trajectory that could overtake him, but it's Lustig as we stand.
I would go for Johnson.
Oh, so you tie it up for them to go to each? That's fine, Gav. That's all right.
Mark Lustig asked me next year. My answer will be different. We need to base it on the performances we've seen for Alistair Johnson so far. Lustig, wash him with it. Right. Okay. I think that the viewers are pushing it for Lustig. So against my better judgment, we're going to go for Lustig. Paddy, we've lost out in that round. Okay,
right.
left back.
It wasn't even close.
Left back.
Oh, sorry, boy.
Hey, come on.
We've got Kieran Tierney or Greg Taylor.
All right, big boy.
Who do you think? Lustig or Johnson?
Johnson.
My boy. Here.
Disgusting, by the way. I'm getting really good with my paper.
Aye, beat it.
Hart is the most underrated, most overrated goalie we've had in years.
Cav goes for his brother.
KT. I was just about to make a similar joke to that.
What did I say?
Gav goes for his brother.
And you bear a striking resemblance to young Alistair Johnson from Canada.
Oh,
I don't know why,
right.
Listen, I really don't know why poor Gavin gets tarnished with that brush.
I just seen it the other day and I've noticed it, so it's obviously something that's...
Poor Gavin is a handsome young man.
I don't have the smile of Alistair Johnson. Like,
Thank fuck, he looks like fucking Freddy Krueger fucking smoking crack.
He looks like one of the baddies for that Super Mario movie. For the
Goomba?
Yes. Yes, it's weird.
The best one is I've seen is a South Park character.
No, the wee guys with recess. Hold on, I'll get it up and I'm talking about my phone here.
Aye, Tierney.
Aye, Tierney every day of the week, although we do love Greg Taylor.
KT for me as well.
Okay, so that is a unanimous one. Right, centre backs. Now, who was the two favourite centre backs for the invincible year for Brendan Rodgers? Was it Boyata and Jozo?
No, Boyata, but I thought it would have been Ayer, no? Boyata and Ayer.
Are you saying Denial?
No, Denial as well.
Ayer, Christopher Ayer.
Oh, Ayer. I thought you were trying to...
Is in Ayer getting in my team.
Was it? All right.
Would it not been him and Boyata?
I think it was... Well, you had Semyonovic, you had Sviatchenko, you had Boyata.
Can I just cut this full one short? The centre pairing that we've got in the Starfelt and Carter Vickers is your centre back pairing. They've never lost a game, though the two of them have paired the game. They're unbeaten they're unbeaten. So the centre halves are the centre halves we've got in the.
Aye, I've just pulled it up there. Actually, I stand corrected. Ayer made one. Was that appearances? I'm assuming. Apparently Ayer made one appearance that season. Our centre half pairing was actually Semyonovic and Sviatchenko.
Would say same Boyata and Semyonovic, but anyway, we know the contenders. But Daza is nailing his colours to the mast. Cameron Carter-Vickers and Starfelt, and we've got a few people agreeing already. We've got Ewan Boy agreeing with that, and we've got Hugh Jameson agreeing with that. Would you guys put any of Brendan Rodgers centre backs in ahead of these two?
No.
I'd put Ayer in ahead of Starfelt. Ayer was very, very underrated for us.
I would put Marvin Compere ahead of Starfelt.
Right, I think James, you're getting overruled. Starfelt, Cameron Carter-Vickers. Right, midfield. Right, okay, so you've got
Callum McGregor's in there because he's stood the test of both teams, so he's in regardless.
So basically, that's what you're saying is that's the easiest pick out.
Well, it's the only pick out for that one. You can't say who we're going to pick: Callum McGregor or Callum McGregor.
Mikey Johnson.
No, but Callum McGregor was in there anyway. He's in the two teams.
So is Mikey Johnson.
But if you want to make it interesting, is it Callum McGregor, the newest captain, or Callum McGregor? There's no
right. Calmac.
Yeah. Now, Scott Brown, I'm going to ask you this: is he right? Yeah, is Hatate getting into this?
I was going to say he takes Hatate out of the game, didn't he, Scott Brown? And then
sorry, I was just going to say I pulled it up here. I've got it in Wikipedia. So your centre mids, you're looking at Beaton, Brown, Armstrong, Rogic.
Because Rogic is in the team regardless. Do you know what I mean? That you find a place for Rogic.
But Ange popped him out.
Aye, a plane ticket to West Brom.
Like, I think I don't like, as much as we love Scott Brown, I don't think we need him. I'd put in Rio Hatate, definitely. Hatate and Callum McGregor. I don't think we've had Hatate on his day. He's a brilliant player. Hatate and Callum McGregor. But this is just me. I don't know who else goes in there, but it's two of my midfielders.
See how like obviously in a great testament to both Celtic teams and the old Celtic mantra, we play football the Glasgow Celtic way, which is attacking football. So we sorted out the defence very easy. Now we're into the sharp end of the team, and now we're struggling. So that shows you how good we've been over the last.
I'm telling you right now, Brown walks into any team, any fucking team. Midfield's got to be Brown, McGregor, and Hatate.
I'd agree with that. Play Hatate forward one and drop Rogic.
Box to box. Let fucking Calmac dictate the play in midfield and have.
So Calmac.
So
Calmac plays a number 10 then.
No, Hatate in front of Calmac.
Right.
He's got that energy. See if you watch him, and obviously you think about Hatate's kind of impact when he first came in. The guy has got limitless energy. He bombs forward. He reminds me a wee bit of a more technically better football player than Petrov. Although no, it's good. I'm not saying that he's better than Petrov, but Petrov was one of the guys that would kind of like your quintessential box to box midfielder. Like Craig Burley type, one that drives right through the middle and gets forward, which is what we need, especially when we're playing with one guy up front. We need support. He'd be.
I think Hugh Jameson's got my thoughts on it nailed on there. That's my midfield.
Calmac, Hatate, and Brown. Right, would Brown definitely get into this Ange team, this present Ange team? Who do you think Ange would take out to accommodate Brown?
But bear in mind, it's invincible Scott Brown. So no towards the tail end. So when Scott Brown was at the height, he's absolute pure strolling it.
Okay. Right. I think I'm being harsh on him. Right. Are we going for Calmac, Scott Brown, and Rio?
Right. So we'll keep a midfield three. So that gives us three options for up front and a wingers in attack.
Two wingers and a striker, aye.
Right, Scott Sinclair, is he nailed on, or does Jota get in ahead of him?
Yes, 1,000,000%.
Good shout.
Sinclair on the left and Jota on the right.
What about Jimmy Forrest back in the Invincible year?
No.
Paddy
Bear in
Roberts.
mind that. Nah. Well, Paddy Roberts was brilliant, but I would rather have James Forrest in there before Paddy Roberts. James Forrest goes in the right for me.
Why is Brendan Rodgers even been mentioned in this? We're just doing a comparison because of Ange's team to Brendan Rodgers' team, the Invincibles. We're not celebrating Brendan Rodgers in any way. Don't worry about it. All right, okay, so Daz, what you're saying, are you going for Forrest and Sinclair on the wings? No Jota?
Aye.
I'm Sinclair and Jota. I think that's harsh on Forrest right enough, but I'm Sinclair and Jota.
But that was James Forrest in his height, if you remember that year. That's the ones who every time he ran into the box, it looked like he was going to get a goal. No, every time he done that diagonal into the box, you know what I mean, and then slot it into the far corner. That was his trademark goal.
See, regardless, James Forrest always looks like a big giant that's just went like that, tap his head.
Right, Gav, you're the decider again then.
Right, I think Sinclair is nailed on. I would go Jota. I'd go Jota.
By the way, that's a good shout for a future episode. Who had the best wag for every position?
Wag?
I think the Sinclairs are split up now, haven't they?
No, Gravison's.
No, I think Rosie Webster and Scott Sinclair split up.
I think they're getting back together. I've seen that in a magazine.
I'd go Lustig, man. B. Josephine was all right.
Aye. Right, striker. Have we gone for our Dumbelly?
Kyogo or Dumbelly? A lot of people have been saying Kyogo is the best striker we've had since the King of Kings. But Dembele is up there as well. Totally different players. But why don't you think about the style of football that we're playing here as well? Who complements it better? It's up to you guys. What do you think?
Kyogo for me. Fresh in the memory, but Dembele was phenomenal. Oh, God, man. Aye. By the way, put it this way, see if Dembele done one of the newspaper ones, get me out my Leon Hell or wherever he is, Celtic take me home. I'd be like that. I'd be buying these plane tickets for him. Do you know what I mean? But he's not. But I'm going to stick with Kyogo.
I'd go Kyogo as well, though ideally I'd drop Joe Hart and play Dembele and just not play with a goalie.
Any man. Paddy, you're having you've got a tortured look on your face.
No, I would go with Kyogo. Listen, I loved Dembele when he first came in. But see, for me, as much as Dembele was a great player, he was only a great player for 50% of his time here. On average, and the rest of it was either injured or push.
That's fair comment.
Nah, Kyogo for me. Kyogo.
Aye, what you say about the injuries, you do forget that about Dembele. Forever another Celtic all-round Dembele. Kyogo, though, is a deadly finisher and unlike any other, in my opinion. Certainly his movement has not been paralleled since Henrik Larsson. Obviously, Henrik Larsson is far better. Don't misconstrue what I'm trying to say, but nobody else has demonstrated that style of movement since Henrik Larsson. So if we're going to go for Kyogo, that would be a team of Hart, Tierney, Starfelt, Cameron Carter-Vickers, and Lustig, Rio Hatate, Callum McGregor, Scott Brown, Jota, Sinclair, and Kyogo. Not a bad team, gentlemen.
Who's the manager?
All this reminds me is one of my favourite Bertie Old soundbites. A reporter says to him, goes like, Bertie, who do you think your current the Rangers 9 in a row team would fare against the Lisbon Lions? And Bertie Old's like, probably a bit of draw. And he goes like that, and he goes, a draw, aye. And he goes, aye, but bear in mind, we're on our 60s and 50s now.
Aye. No bad team. Yeah, by the way, can I just say, for on this day, the feature is Alec McNair. Alec McNair, on this day, he became Celtic's oldest player. He was 41, I believe. Let me just double check. 41 years old whenever he made his last appearance for Celtic. And Alec McNair, there's been books written about this man. He was called the Icicle back in his day. He played for Celtic for over 20 odd years, I believe. 640 appearances. And this is going back to 1904. He was a defender and a right back. But yeah, there's a book written about him, Celtic's Icicle, by David Potter. And Willie Maley, he said that McNair, he would have distinguished himself in any position, even in goals, with that calm, cool head and sharp eyes. And a quote here from a referee: "It was a delight to see him wait for his man, pounce just when the moment was right and clear, with such crispness and confidence." Paddy, you've heard about McNair, haven't you?
Aye, just the other now.
Seriously, Paddy?
Paddy was at school with him.
Mate, do you know what I was just thinking here? Do you know, see that guy's name that you mentioned? David something.
What?
That guy's name that you mentioned, David something. David Potter.
One of the people who made a quote about him.
Aye. David Potter was it?
No, mate. Right, so Jock Bell was the referee who spoke about Alec McNair. You've also got a quote from Willie Maley.
Did you not mention something called David Potter?
David Potter.
No,
sorry, mate. Aye, you're right. It's the author of the book.
Aye, no, I was just thinking that would be a great name for us in a couple of...
Is that a fucking big tumbleweed there?
No, I wasn't making a joke. I'm just...
You weren't making a joke, Potter, snooker player. That wasn't a joke.
I was just saying, like, do you know, like maybe like if you had like a football player called like Johnny Kicker or like
a defender like Jason
a swimmer called Johnny Divers or something. Mark Potter. David Potter. Aye, David Potter.
Anyway.
Sorry, mate. I was just letting my mind get away from me though. And there's Alan Woods. Potter was a bit of a wizard on the wing, but just like James Forrest, it only came in spells.
So right, back to our team. Back to our team. Craig Gordon on the bench.
Yeah.
Oh,
Taylor.
volleyball. Fuck off.
Logic,
definitely. Belly.
Forrest.
I'm going to go Armstrong.
Because he's here?
No, because he was decent.
One of my favourite moments is that Armstrong goal. I know Tom Rogers goal outshines in the final against Aberdeen, but Armstrong's goal for me was brilliant because Aberdeen scored, Celtic took a kick-off, and Aberdeen never touched the ball again until the ball was in the back of their net. You know what I mean? So that's how you answer that's how you answer a goal. No, all right, we were just going to put it. So Armstrong's goal was brilliant that day. But Tom Rogers, only because it's like the last kick of the ball, and the way it was just phenomenal.
Aye. But it's even better with the Titanic music in the background, isn't it?
I think everything's better with Titanic on the music in the background, doesn't it?
Maybe no being on the Titanic while it's sinking.
I see that game, that cup final. They done they done it quite often. I think they done it at the Barcelona game. Mind they used to take a photo of every single person in the stadium. You'd go into the website. So whenever they've done my section, I'm fucking storming with my dad. My dad was absolutely goosed with sciatica at the time, so he was on crutches. It was touch and go if he was going to get to the game. He was fucked, couldn't walk. But he fucking I think we left fucking about 3 days before the game kicked off, so we could get in time. So we've got in, and when they've took the picture, I'll never forget it because it fucking my dad's pals printed it off. It's obviously just after Aberdeen scored, and we're fucking standing there with a face like thunder. My dad's got his two crutches fucking leaning like that. See, like you're saying, literally 30 seconds later, he's got a Celtic scarf tied on the crutches, and the crutches up there, man.
You ever remember a guy, there were a guy at Celtic Park somewhere, can't mind the year, but there were a guy who had a fake, what's the terminology these days, and a prosthetic leg, and there was an image when Celtic scored and he's fucking holding his leg like that. No, his real leg, his prosthetic one.
Or when Brendan Rodgers was getting unveiled, a guy used his Wayne to sing "You'll Never Walk Alone."
By the way, listen, you've got to do it. You've got to do it. By the way, do you know that Brendan Rodgers actually touched that guy and his leg just magically grew again? Or so Brendan says.
Champions League was on the night. Chelsea are about to get put out, I'm sure, by Real Madrid. Denny's fancy Napoli to win it.
Aye. I think, as I say to my pal on the bus on the way back to Kilmarnock, if AC Milan go through tonight, Man City are the champions. Because I think Napoli are the only team that will be able to stop Man City this year.
Do you think Real Madrid will beat Man City? Because I think they play them, don't they?
I think Man City now have just got that wee bit too much against Real Madrid, if I'm being honest. Real Madrid, and that's taking nothing away from Real Madrid. Real Madrid are phenomenal, but the Kevin De Bruyne, Haaland, I think they're phenomenal. They too.
Frank, shut the fuck up.
See the thing that happened by Bayern Munich. So obviously they get beat by City 3-0, and there was a bit of a dust up between Leroy Sané and Sadio Mane. So Mane clocked Sané, so easy to get those two names mixed up. He burst his lip, and then the news of that got leaked out of the dressing room, and the club sanctioned Sadio Mane for doing that. Paddy, how would you feel if that happened with the Celtic dressing room nowadays? Obviously, back in the day, in fact, not even going back in the day, but that's a thing that you would expect to happen in the dressing room. You know, arguments happen, fights happen. Sometimes it's good to have that kind of clear the air sort of thing. How disappointed would you be if that happened at Celtic and somebody squealed to the press and then Celtic actually took disciplinary action against them?
Do you know the most famous one with that?
Yes.
Tosh McKinley.
Oh, stuck with nothing Larson.
Aye.
Oh, yeah.
And then you've got Arthur Borwick, Leonard and Aidan McGeady.
Might have done it with Lee Nader as well on the park after the Spark.
That's right, aye, Borwick and Miller.
No, I would like all that stuff to stay in house.
I just love the idea that what's his name against that Sadio Mane was like a Jekyll and Hyde kind of character in the dressing room, and he's fucking took a potion. And Sadio Mane's turned into Madio Sane and just started cracking kids.
I can't wait to see you in the stand. I can't wait to see you in the stand, Paddy.
What?
I'll buy tickets for you in the stand.
I'm not a grass mate. What are you talking about? What stand are you talking about? I'm going to talk about a witness stand. I'm not a grass
Comedy
mate.
club.
All right. No, I'm not a grass mate. I don't. No.
I thought you went again now.
The one-armed man.
I thought you went again with your dad jokes.
Listen here, we're all saying like dads here now. We all need to crack some jokes now.
Aye, Hugh Jameson sums it up well. The bust-ups should stay within the club. I actually wonder what the circumstances was for McKinley to hit Larson. Does anybody know?
Larson hacked him, I think, and then there was words exchanged, and then Wee Tosh just wrapped it up him.
That's pretty much
it. Remember the one what was the one?
I see that one.
The one with Chris Commons. Like Chris Commons was supposed
Ronnie
to be
Dyler.
With Charlie McGrew, Ronnie Dyler or something. They came out in the training pitch, all wrapped up in bandages on it.
No, that was. I'm sure it was a Rennes game.
It was Moldy, wasn't it?
I thought it was. I don't know. It might have been Moldy, aye. And Chris Commons came off and he was raging, and then the camera panned on him, and he's shouting down at Ronnie Dyler and John Collins, and the two of them were just absolutely blanked him. But you need to nip that.
Sorry, see the one Jerry McNee, was that the guy who used to do Super Scoreboard back in the 90s?
Super Scoreboard, and he was a commentator. and a journalist for the Daily Record, and they were in a hotel, and Jerry McNee said something to Bill McNeil. I think it was in a European away trip, and Jerry McNee said something to Bill McNeil, and Bill McNeil shouldn't have wrapped in on him. But apparently they were like good pals anyway, and now that was because a lot of journalists were pals with the players back in the day. You know what I mean?
I like the one and all with Billy McNeil. See the story about him and Tommy Burns. Where was it they used to go all the time? Seamill Hydro.
Aye.
One of them was a team meeting and fucking they were in this big room and I can't remember it word for word, but basically there was words exchanged between McNeil, who was the manager at the time, and Tommy Burns. And Tommy Burns fucking flew from him and tried to attack him. Nearly the end of his Celtic career, but it managed to get sweetened out. And
but it's like two bigger Celtic mans you would never ever meet. Do you know what I mean? It was the two of them weren't just Celtic players, Celtic managers. The two of them were Celtic to the core. Listen, I've got to say, man, I work in a team of 3 guys, and I'm by the time I'm hitting day 10, there's arguments, there's debates. You know what I mean? So this is a team of like 50 players. There's obviously going to be fallouts. There's obviously going to be personality clashes. But no, I mean, it's how they manage it, how they keep it in house, and how they deal with it internally. I don't want to be hearing that X has fell out with Y. Do you know what I mean? I want to hear that. I want to hear everything's hunky dory in that changing room. You know what I mean?
You don't want to hear any stories about mass debates, do you?
Did you just say that? It's the same way. It's the same way, like with the old film Fight Club. It's like what the first rule of Fight Club is: we don't talk about it. So if it's what happens indoors, is stay indoors.
there's a version of that in Govan that's called the Masonics. What happens in the Blue Lounge stays between us and the goat.
So no something that happened between Scott Brown. There's no something that happened between Scott Brown and Hugh Keevins.
I know one about Hugh Keevins years and years ago.
What's that?
A certain legend who's now passed from Park Kedway. Hugh Keevins turned up to the Celtic club, obviously the one on London Road, and he got arson necked out by a guy who was known as Finbar.
Elaborate?
No. That is the elaboration. They came into an event and they get fucking arson necked right out, and I mean physically.
Well, he's been banned for Celtic Park, hasn't he? So
because he's a wee fanny.
I know. I keep every time like I hear him these predictions. I always want him to predict against Celtic because he is the. I think it's his process. Do you know that? Like if he backs against us, we'll win. Now, just like I will only wear a hoodie to Celtic Park because every time I've worn a hoodie, we'll draw or get beat. So they're just like sweet stupid things. So I think that's his process.
Nah, he's just one of these. He's just one of these media whores that's there to cause controversy and ensue as much debate as possible. With over pronunciations of certain particular words and fucking blah 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 blah.
Talking about wee fannies, Bob Bag of the Week.
What can I do for you?
Bob Bag of the Week. Have you seen Joey Barton in the paper today, or in the paper on the website today?
Good shout, mate. I totally forgot about that. Tell us.
He wants to come back and manage. How much he backs himself? He doesn't even back himself for the Rangers job, but he wants to come back and manage Hearts, Hibs, or Aberdeen to show that his time and spell he wasn't a total flop. An absolute fucking tragedy, a guy. I think he's managing fucking Gillingham under 17 girls or something like that now. And I don't know why he's just bumped his gums again. I take it it's because the jobs are gone. He's wanting to put himself forward for it, but he says that he wasn't a flop at Rangers, and he wants to come up here and set the record straight and show Celtic and Rangers supporters, show the old firm fans was his quote, what he's all about.
So you say he was a flop at Rangers?
He said he wasn't a flop at Rangers. He wants to show that he wasn't a flop.
I've just seen that photo you put up, Bill Dasbo. That's brilliant.
That's a build. That's a build for that.
It's a private one, by the way. It's not a picture of his penis. that would definitely not often matter. Right. Are we going to wrap this up? Because I need to go for a jabobby.
Right, okay. Ballbag of the week then. Ballbag of the week is Joey Barton.
Joey Barton.
I'm still always going to say Kenny Miller. Gave Celtic no credit the other day. Everything was just pro Rangers when I was listening to when they done this. They did their version of this on Radio Clyde. But Kenny Miller, because Joey Barton doesn't even come on my radar as somebody whose opinion matters to me. Maybe it's Kenny Miller right enough, but his is more in the spotlight.
And baller of the week, Paddy?
Dolly Parton.
Matt O'Reilly.
Matt O'Reilly
is. Right, guys, going to wrap it up for this evening. That's an hour and 20 odd minutes. Right, to the viewers, thanks very, very much for tuning in. We will be back this weekend. We'll try and do a post-match of the Motherwell game. And Daz, it's been good having you on.
I'll see you at the end of the season.
What year?
Right, anyway, boys, right, good night, God bless. We'll be back the weekend. Catch you.
All the best.